to put my hand up and say I am involved with, but I would have told this story anyway. And it's in many ways a very personal story. And Yoko, one of the founders, is here today. We had a personal experience of being engaged with a company which had traditional VC funding. And I can tell you, the only thing that VC funding did was destroy the value in that company. I personally witnessed it. And I resigned from the board in that company in the end because, as my friend Reg Snodgrass actually said from our television, sometimes common sense is not always that common. So what we find is, in fact, that there is more money raised already, and I think we already have mentioned it, from angel investors and friends and family than actually from traditional VCs. There's also the fact that actually if you want to do business, once upon a time, or you wanted to have money from Silicon Valley, you would have had to have moved here, or you'd have had to have gone, because that's the way it works. But then you're locked in limited knowledge centres. For example, in the UK, a lot of VCs will not invest in what we call 2.0 or social media because they don't understand it. And I've actually done some due diligence for some companies and for some VCs in the UK, and I'm shocked that they're even talking to some of these people because they haven't worked out what their business model is. They don't really know what their technology platform is. They haven't really thought about what their management team is, and that VC should have known that at the very beginning. He's wasted his time. So in the same way that I think Jay was faced with a 40-acre plant that really inspired him, and seeing how a community was completely devastated by its inability to adapt to a world changing around it, I think we see, not just in terms of Grow, but with Y Combinator, or Techstars, or Kickstarter, or whatever, there's many companies now really starting to think about completely different ways about how you bootstrap companies, where you get funding from, because actually where you get the funding from is as important as actually getting that funding in the first place, as I learned from my own hard-won personal experience of seeing what happens when people really don't want to open their ears and listen to good advice. So, in fact, the guys had a dream. They were really passionate about the fact there had to be a designed response to thinking about how you could get these people to come together in completely different types of ways. And they said, we've got to have a set of values that are really important to us, that are core to us, that we can communicate to the community. And that we've got to weave trust into the absolute process of this business. Something when I speak to Jay from Local Motors, I absolutely sense the same thing resonating off that human being. This is a fundamental part of being in business. He's there to do something else. Money is almost a byproduct of actually the reason why he's gone into business in the first place. And by looking at some of the other models out there where massive flows of co-creation, collaboration, networks and systems thinking, partnership has enabled funding and innovation and entrepreneurship to thrive, this is what Grow VC said they wanted to be. And they said that the next Silicon Valley is a virtual Silicon Valley. It's not a place, it's a concept. And we want to make that happen because we want to be able to bring entrepreneurs and experts and everyday people and companies together who share a common passion around a particular thing they want to do. So this is their mission, to provide the platform, the service toolkit, the partner network to be that virtual Silicon Valley. And so there's a kind of a format they got which enables peer-to-peer crowdfunding, people sort of being part of this and sort of working out what types of things they really want to be funded. So VC is venture community. Okay, we're a venture community. But we can also do matchmaking, we can create negotiation tools that can bring people together, again, to enable that to happen. And also that people can offer their professional services. So again, it's a question of people being able to filter and to find and connect in more meaningful ways, rather than being locked into talking to a particular company or VC in a particular place that has limited knowledge and limited understanding about the true assets that could be out there in the world that could really enable that company to thrive. Well, in a year, they've got over 6,000 registered members, already 1,400 startups. Already 20 million USD has been raised, and the first investments have started to happen. In India, 12 weeks ago, they launched an Indian chapter. There was 1,000 members within 12 weeks. I mean, this is the velocity that we're looking at, which is absolutely unprecedented, in the same way that being able to use systems thinking and connectivity around sort of what people are passionate about, and the way that Local Motors collaborates with 44,000 designers in 1 year, we're looking at a kind of acceleration which I think is absolutely unprecedented, which a linear way of doing things would never be able to achieve. They've launched a chapter in China, and there are other networks coming across the world. And there are language versions, because actually having just done a big speaking tour with BlackBerry through Latin America, what you find is there's a lot of people that speak Spanish in the world. And there's a lot of people that would prefer to speak Spanish in this world rather than English. And I can tell you that travelling through Latin America, where I speak almost no Spanish whatsoever, was a little bit tough on occasion. So I've got some real respect for understanding that people will want to actually talk and collaborate in their own languages sometimes, other than English. Now, why do people want to work with Grow VC? There's a gentleman called Mark. We'll leave it at that. He's a very successful investment banker in New York. And he got in touch with Grow and he said, I'm a pretty wealthy guy. I work with a very successful investment firm in New York, but I hate my job. I like the money, but I hate my job. I'd love to come and work with you and feel that I'm part of something that is really doing something in this world. I want to really release my passion into something that means something to me. And I think that this is actually very true of this sort of no straight lines approach, this ability of how you attract people to want to come and give their creative best. Because in fact, we are quite often, and very often, motivated not by commercial gain, by something much, much deeper. And I've always believed that. I actually sort of come from the world of advertising and marketing on the creative side, and for me, you know, your creativity is released because actually you want to be able to do your best, and people to say your best was great and we love the work that you delivered, and that's extremely important. So be able to create environments where people really feel to be encouraged to give their creative best, I think is equally important, and that will change the result of what actually you're trying to achieve as a consequence.